DJ Uiagalelei. Did I say that right? Forgive me if I didn't. Made some really aggressive statements this week about Clemson, his former football team. I'm going to dive into that in just a second. I'm Brian Knight. I'm not Bobby Durkins, at least not right here. If you're brand new here, hit the subscribe button and turn on the notifications. That does support the channel. And yeah, it's free. So let's dive right in. If you're a Clemson fan and you're a little pessimistic this morning, the question that you have is like, why, Brian, why are you bringing this up? I mean, who cares what he has to say? He's gone. There's better things to talk about. I could see that. If you're really pessimistic, you're like, never bring him up again. Okay, great. But I think talking about what he said gives us insight into people like myself who's been criticizing the coaching staff. Now, let's go ahead and get it out. Let's get it out in the nice, clear air. It's raining here in the upstate of South Carolina right now. What's up, Slim Shady Canes? Got Parker Henderson getting in here on this live stream. Good to see you, gentlemen. I use that term loosely with both of you. But if you want to get this out in a nice, crisp air of Clemson, yes, Dabo has made the proper move. He let go of Streeter and he hired Garrett Riley. Okay, it's like, okay, let's move on. No, what we need to do today is that we need to establish that when we see something in a program that looks off, it's not because we're not intellectually challenged as football fans. When something is off, something is off. And instead of just going rah-rah all in, it's okay for us to question it. And it's okay for us not to trust the coach, even though he gave us 6 consecutive college football playoff appearances. He's given us, 10 or 11 consecutive years of 10-plus wins. He's given us multiple he's going to have to compliment me back. Sorry, Slim Shady Canes just threw me off there with that comment. Thank you. Oh, my God. But he's given us multiple 10-win seasons, multiple ACC championships, 2 national championships. He brought in Trevor Lawrence. He brought in Deshaun Watson. He's brought in a lot of great players. Dabo Swinney is the man, but it's okay to question him. It's okay to criticize him. He has 11 million reasons per year that I think can cushion his little head if we criticize him. And yeah, he's okay. He doesn't, and by the way, he doesn't care what I think. I'm only making this video because this morning work is kind of slow. I've already dealt with what I have to deal with, and I have a window of time so I can get on here and do this video. But he doesn't care what I have to say, and he doesn't care what you have to say. Most, if not all, the coaches don't. Most, if not all, the players don't. Let's dive into DJ. Now, this week, DJ made some statements, and still gamble, you're 100% right. He said exactly what us fans have been saying. He said what us fans already knew. So this is coming from 24/7 Sports. And I'm going to cut out a bunch of the hoopla. So DJ told the Athletics' Bruce Feldman, I didn't think we did very much. I thought it was very basic. Let's pause right there. Let's pause right there. Did you enjoy watching wide receiver screen out to the left? And, ooh, we're going to get creative. Wide receiver screen out to the left. Did you find that enjoyable? The middle of the field would be wide open. We wouldn't run a tight end, one of our great tight ends. We had 2 great tight ends last season. We wouldn't run him across the middle. We wouldn't take a cue from the NFL and go out and do our thing. Nope. Nope, nope. But that wide receiver screen, it's big happenings. Was he wrong? Well, that's because DJ didn't have the ability to. I'm going to get into abilities and fit for the program in just a second. Thought it was very basic. Yeah, you and about 100,000 other people. I wanted to be able to do play action, throw a lot of deep balls, deep posts, scheme wise, a little more complex than what I was doing at Clemson, a little more NFL style. I looked at Will Levis. A lot of people have him going first round because he's a good player, but also because he played in a pro style system. Now, you can go Google or whatever you like to use and look that up. You can go look that up. You can go check out that article. There's other sites that are talking about it right now. So I'm going to break down 3 different scenarios. And if I haven't said this already, this is an onion, a very big onion with a lot of layers to peel. I don't want to do a 45-minute show. But let's talk about DJ. Do you realize that DJ was one of the most highly rated recruits we ever signed? Ever. Go look it up. Go to 247 Sports, look it up. You'll see the highly, you can do a search for most highly rated players ever signed by a team. And DJ is near the top. So I don't think that Clemson made a bad decision by recruiting a highly rated player. I think they made a bad decision for recruiting a highly rated player that didn't fit their system. And yes, folks, systems matter. Take Army's quarterback right now. I don't know who he is. No offense to him. That's a run offense. They might throw the ball twice per game. And that's on a big day, you know. You take him, you put him in a pass-heavy offense, he's going to fail like you wouldn't believe. Then I put myself in the shoes of DJ. Hey, I have this world-class team coming along wanting me to come play for them. And I get to sit behind Trevor Lawrence. I get to be around all these fantastic players, all with national championship rings, by beating the crap out of one of the, supposedly at the time, one of the best Alabama teams of all time. So it's like when Georgia just throttled TCU 65-7. TCU wasn't even supposed to be in the college football playoff. TCU wasn't even supposed to win probably 8 games. And they made it there, but when they played an elite team, they got the literal crap beat out of them. The players were not there, but and so they lost by 58 points, and good for Georgia. But here's the thing: when Clemson, listen to me, when Clemson played Alabama and beat them by 4 touchdowns in the national championship, they were not playing a bunch of scrubs. They were playing first-round talent across the board. That's why that win was so flippin' impressive. Because it wasn't supposed to happen. So you offer a guy like that to come out and play for a team like that, he's probably not going to properly evaluate. He's probably not going to properly evaluate the opportunity and whether he would actually fit into the system. Now, what's something else that could be said? If I'm from DJ's side, maybe his parents, maybe his dad, I don't know. Maybe somebody told him. I have no inside knowledge, by the way. This is all assumptions. Maybe someone told him, we will scheme to your abilities. Now, if he was told that, he was misled. But if he was not told that, and he thought that he was going to come to Clemson, If he thought he was going to come to Clemson and what had won them 2 national championships, they were going to throw out the window just for him? That's his or his camp's. And when I say camp, I mean people who are all the way from high school coach to his family. Not taking a shot at you. I'm just saying I have 2 sons. I have to talk them through stuff. One's 7, one's 16. You can imagine the diverse conversations I have to have of what is a good and a bad decision. One's trying to grow a mullet. That's the older one. I think they're terrible. And the younger one likes to do dangerous stuff. But my point in saying all of this, and I know we've got a bunch of comments in here, and I do appreciate it. Please put them in there. But the whole thing is I have to talk my kids out of stupid decisions. Because kids and young adults are easily wooed by shiny things. They are easily tempted by shiny things. My goodness, adults are as well. So the adults have to come along and say, DJ, I know they're Clemson, and I know this is a world-class opportunity, and we know that we like Coach Sweeney. We know that there's a lot of good players there, but dude, you don't fit that style, man. You just don't. I'm sorry, bro. You don't fit that style. This is going to hurt you more than it helps you. I don't know if that conversation went on. This is all speculative. And for anybody from DJ's side who's like, well, don't talk about the things that you don't know about. I'm sorry, you're a public figure, my guy. If you wanted to move on, you would have never made that statement recently. And I'm not dogging him. In fact, I hope he does great. I've said that over and over. This is a Clemson football talk oriented show. But it also goes back to Clemson football. This goes back to Clemson football. Think about when DJ came in. Jeff Scott was gone. Jeff Scott didn't have his fingerprint. I know everybody talks about Jeff Scott never called plays. I don't care if he sprinkled cocaine in their underwear. That man did something magic that once he left, it was gone. Tony is not a terrible offensive coordinator, but he is not a great offensive coordinator. And I know he's a head coach at Virginia. For those of you who's going crazy, he's a head coach and does way better than you. Great, wonderful. I appreciate you giving me that high school response. We're talking about his abilities. So DJ did not get the Jeff Scott experience because Jeff, for some reason, had this ability to impact the entire offense. And you say, how do you know that? Because when he left, things got bad. Things got bad. And until you can prove me wrong, great. Until you can prove me wrong, I have history on my side. So I think between DJ not fitting this style whatsoever, the poor offensive coordinating, and the lack of player development, I'm surprised we won 10 games. I mean, literally, I am shocked. I am shocked it almost to the level of if I found out my next door neighbors are terrorists. I would be shocked because they're sweet old people. I would be like, what? I thought he was an engineer. And I know some of you would be like, well, that should tip you off. But it's like, he's from Michigan. I don't know. I'm shocked that we won 10 wins. Now, for some of you who eat, sleep, breathe Dabo Sweeney, I mean, Dabo can fart and you can't run fast enough to the seat of his butt crack to sniff it up. I mean, it's just like, all in. You ate onions last night. You're going to take up for Sweeney on this one. What I am saying is that This was a mismanagement across the board. DJ shouldn't have been recruited in to play at Clemson. As incredible as he was coming out of high school, you don't recruit someone who does not fit your system, especially, for heaven's sakes, at the quarterback position. You don't recruit a top bruising running back to run a fast-paced, spread, misdirection, everything depends upon speed running back. You don't recruit a bruiser to put them in that type of offense, because that bruiser most likely doesn't have a lot of speed. There are a few exceptions. The reason everybody goes crazy over Derrick Henry is because he's what, 6'3", 240, and he runs a 4.3, something like that. Yeah, that's wonderful. That's wonderful. But the reason everybody looks at him and go, normally a guy his size runs about a 4.7 or 4.8 tops, and there's no speed. You get a bunch of you get chunks of yardage, 4, 5 yards, because they're a bruiser type. You don't see that in that body style that much. That's why everybody looks at Derrick Henry as a unicorn, you know? But my point in saying all of this is he did not fit this. DJ did not fit the system. And it matters who you bring in. It matters who you bring in. And the moment that you think that it doesn't matter, I mean, now you're operating outside of the ABCs of football. So I'm glad that Sweeney has replaced Streeter, and he has Garrett Riley, and he has Cade, and Cade's got a lot of growing to do. But Cade is the style of quarterback that we need right now for this scheme. We don't need someone who is going to play pro style playing Clemson's offensive scheme right now, unless that scheme changes. So this gives us some insight into what was going on with him, what was going on with the coaching, and what we saw every Saturday. Now, I understand. I'm going to go in here. Let me see. I'm going to go in the comment section. I'm going to start answering some of these, because some of the things I want to say is actually asked here, and I'll address them individually. So, of course, Slim Shady Kane's got in here. Good to see him. Parker Henderson, my old buddy. Miss you, dude. We got to go to a football game together. Still Gamble. Now, Parker said he couldn't make a basic throw. I do agree with you. I was at games where he couldn't make a basic throw, but we've also seen together him turn around and make some incredible throw. And Clemson fans will say, which one was that? I never seen that. I've seen the guy actually make some incredible throws, and then you step back and you go, hold on, but you can't throw a 5-yard out route? You can't put touch on the ball? You stare down your receiver? So I agree with you on the basic throws. The guy would turn and he would make a zip throw here and there. It was sporadic. Did you hear me? Everybody who's about to come after me for saying that, it would be sporadic. But he would go and throw a world-class throw. When we were playing against South Carolina this year, touchdown pass he made to Antonio Williams, the corner of the end zone, when they were driving towards the hill. It was heading towards the student section there in the corner. That throw, the touch on it was fantastic. Fan-flippin-tastic. But you're right, he wouldn't make the basic throws. So there, he's got to accept that's on him. Or he didn't want to make it. If your heart's not somewhere, you're not going to put your all into it. You know that. And when I say that, Parker, I'm saying that to everybody. We all know that. So Gamble said he's going to ball at Oregon State, or it'll further showcase what a failure our offensive staff was. I think he will do pretty well. I think that there's a good chance of him doing well there. The only thing that I wonder about Steele Gamble is has he developed some poor habits over the past few years under a coaching staff that's not developing him? And some of the things that actually is his responsibility and he needs to get better at, but he could blame it on the coaching staff and he could blame it on the poor play calling, but it's actually something that he needed to deal with. If that's going to catch up with him at Oregon State, that is something to watch out about. Their coach will catch that quick. He turned piss into wine this past year with Oregon State. So, Rub the Rock, his tenure was bad for two reasons. The play calling was basic and bad, and he was bad. Couldn't read defense, had stone feet, consistently over, under, through receivers. He showed promise as a fill-in. Fair assessment. Once again, if you're in the wrong system, you're going to look terrible. And then what I just said in my response just a second ago, Rub the Rock, I don't even know if you're still in here because that was 20 minutes ago. You commented. But you bring up a great point. But if you're in a system that you don't believe in and it's not right for you and you're irritated, and then you have to turn on ESPN and hear everybody fawn and fall out on the floor and shake to death over Bryce Young, and it was you two at the top, and they're making fun of you, but they're worshiping him, and he wins a Heisman Trophy, I can only imagine what that does to someone's psyche. He tanked as a starter, but in his defense, Clemson had problems all over the field that didn't help at all. Yes. And that goes back to, and once again, I'm not trashing anyone. This is just the truth. That goes back to the people being paid a lot more money than all of us in here times 10 to step back and look at and fix it. That's why they're paid a lot of money, because you pay someone a lot of money when they're a specialist. A neurologist is paid, a neurosurgeon is paid a lot more money than a standard doctor. A standard doctor makes, really good money, but a neurosurgeon is paid a lot. Why? Because not everybody can do what they can do. So that's the same with coaching. Now, I live not too far from Brevard College. I say not too far, about an hour or so out. Brevard College, for anyone who doesn't know, is a itty bitty, I think, Division II school or something like that, maybe even Division III school up in Brevard, North Carolina. Their head coach don't even know who he is, don't know what their record is. No offense to him. Not guarantee. I know he's not even paid remotely near what Dabo Swinney is paid. Why? Because Dabo is seen as a specialist. He's won 2 national championships, 6 consecutive college football playoffs, over 10 years of 10-win seasons. I've already said this. That's the reason you pay them a lot of money. You pay them to reward them and pay them to incentivize them to continue that winning standard, so they might get even more money later on. That's why you pay people a lot of money. And he, along with not all of the coaches, but some of the other coaches, they forgot that. Noah says, I honestly don't think it's a system issue. I just don't think he could complete a pass. Looked great as a freshman in his first 2 games. He just didn't work. He just didn't work here because his accuracy disappeared. There was definitely, and I said this just a second ago, there's things that DJ is going to have to do for DJ. There's things that he's going to have to fix for DJ. How much of that got even more entrenched in him while he was at Clemson under poor development? But I disagree with you wholeheartedly. Our system looked terrible. Our system looked absolutely terrible. And I appreciate your comment, and we can all disagree and not be like the rest of the world. And when you disagree, all of a sudden you start calling people names and ethnic slurs. And I mean, I'm tired of that. But I disagree with you there. I think that Clemson lost its edge. I think that there was poor coaching hires, and I think it's apparent here, poor recruiting. Still gamble. All quarterbacks regress under Streeter, including Trevor. I can't say that Trevor regressed. I think that Trevor never grew. Now, Chase Henderson pointed out a really good question to me the other day. He said, "What do you tell Trevor? How do you want Trevor to improve at the college game? I mean, what do you do with a guy like that? He comes in. He would have been the first. He would have been the number one pick overall the night that he beat the crap out of Alabama. People couldn't believe what he did. People can't believe that Georgia beat TCU 65-7. Yeah, that was incredible. And if you're a Dogs fan, you should be going, "Go Dogs," right now. You're in the middle of teaching third grade class. You're a 23-year-old girl right out of Georgia. And she's talking like this, and all of a sudden someone says something about Georgia Bulldogs, and she goes, "Go Dogs." I'm always blown away by how that happens. I mean, the daintiest little woman. "Oh, how you doing?" Says like Aunt B. "Aunt Andy, someone mentioned the Bulldogs." "Go Dogs." It's crazy. What they did was incredible, but here's the deal. That night that Clemson beat the living piss out of Alabama, that was the best of the best. You couldn't say that for TCU. But where do you go from there? To Chase's credit, what do you say to Trevor? Be better. He was just waiting out his time to get to the NFL. Some Shady Canyon says, "Rub the rock." That is true. O-line and wide receiver core didn't do DJ any favors. No, I don't even know what we're doing with the offensive line anymore. I mean, I know that we have Richardson running things now. Is it Richardson? No, I think it's Thomas Austin. Yeah, it's Thomas. I think it's Tom. Yeah, I always get Richardson and Thomas Austin mixed up as far as who's running things now. It's Thomas Austin, folks. I'm just telling you. I have no clue how our offensive line play became this bad. And it seemingly happened overnight, even though it didn't. Tiger Cat, may there to you. It's good to see you. Good to see you, Tiger Cat. Slim Shady Kane says, "Be thankful, sir. I have two girls and one boy." As Jeff Foxworthy used to say, you live in the estrogen ocean. Jamie Stone, NIL money may have influence on DJ's performance. Jamie, I know someone right now who worked. They've left the team, but out of respect for them, I'm just not going to say who they are. They tell me 100%, especially with the wide receivers, that it did. And anybody who thinks that it didn't, you're not a business person. You're still singing your alma mater in your head. And college football is a business. Don't forget it. Midland's Directory, good to see you in here. Still Gamble, you nailed it. Noah's talking about Trevor's stats improved every year. His interception rate went down, or went up. Excuse me. He was throwing. He was trying too hard. He was trying too terribly hard. He didn't have to try too hard with that. Heck, you could have put quarterbacks in that system. Not taken away from Trevor. He's the OG, but you could have put just solid quarterbacks in that system and just thrown the ball up to T. Higgins and Justin Ross. I mean, just my guy. Toss it up, let him go get it. Let's see. I'm going to scroll on down here. Strange Days. DJ is probably the third best quarterback at Oregon State. 17-year-old freshman is better. I did read a little something about that. 17-year-old freshman. It's interesting. Strange Days says, "Go watch the spring game." Yeah, I heard that he had accuracy problems at the beginning, and then got into like a rhythm. I heard that Childs did very, very well. Rub the Rock says, "I'm here." Rub the Rock, thanks for staying. Let's see. 2020 DJ was no fluke. That's all I'm saying. That was raw elite talent that went to waste. Still gamble. I agree. I agree. But once again, I come back to my statement that if you don't fit the system and your heart's not in it, you're not going to do well. In fact, it's going to hurt you. It's going to hurt everybody around you. And guess what you're going to do? You're going to end up looking like the bad guy. And that's exactly how DJ looks. DJ looks like everybody will remember DJ's name when they can't remember our offensive coordinator's name to blame them. Villox Dry Cleaner. Go Tigers. May there to you. It's good to see you. I'm saying May there as though I'm that other guy. Hey! I'm not him right now. At least not right now. Rub the rock. It's simple, really. The O-line has no dominant players. Clemson doesn't legitimately go after those guys for some odd reason. They got Tristan Lee and that Linthicum guy. I always mess up his last name. Why? Because he was like a 4 or 5 star, and we haven't developed him. Tristan Lee's just now playing. He was a 5 star. What happened there, man? We did go after those two, and they're not being developed. At least Clemson ain't got Miami problems. Hashtag silver lining from Slim Shady Canes. Dude, I'm going to say this to you. Cristobal let me down last year because, and I imagine what he did to you because you're a Miami fan. I just expected more out of him, but hey, we'll see. We'll see. I think that if y'all could win 8 games this year and then the games you don't lose are close, that would be good. I always like that approach because if you go out and you upset a team, when you go out and you upset a team, but you turn around kind of like Clemson did. I always bring this up. Clemson did in the, I think it was 2003 or 2005 season. It was one of those two. One week Clemson goes to Coral Gables when Miami was still playing at Coral Gables and beat like number 5, number 3, something like that. They wasn't number 1, but they were definitely a national championship contender. Clemson beats Miami, and then the very next week goes up to Durham. Duke's not good, and loses on a field goal. You can't recruit yourself out of that. That's poor coaching. You can't sell to recruits, hey, we're 1 player away or 2 or 3 players away, and you're one of those players, and we think that you can make the difference to get us to an elite status. You can't get that message across with that type of result. But if you go out and you win the games that you're supposed to win, you win most of the games that it's a toss-up, and then the games you're supposed to get blown out, you actually play a respectable game. I'm telling you, you can build a program like that. But the other stuff, that is emotionalism, and it just, it never works. I'm about to close this down. Transfer portal lit up like a Christmas tree this week, and I want to talk about that. I'm going to do that on another video. I'm going to take a quick break, have some emails to check, as I should. And then if you want to join me back here, I'm going to talk about the transfer portal, what it's doing to college football, why I like it. That'll tick off a lot of people. Hit the thumbs up. It's free. It's free. Yeah. And I'll catch you next time. Hey, listen, I hope the best for DJ. Hope the best for any young guy out there playing ball. And I hope that these high school recruits who are highly recruited, that they have at least someone in their life who will tell them the truth. In the Bible, we're told we're supposed to speak the truth in love. And what I'm going to tell you this is, someone should have lovingly told him, Clemson doesn't fit your style, and it's not going to be good for you. You're going to end up looking bad after this. And maybe someone did, and he didn't listen. I don't know. Maybe there was just a misunderstanding there, but I do wish him the best. I do wish everyone who's out there the best, and I hope someone is speaking the truth and love to them, because these young men are hitting the transfer portal for a reason. Some of it is because they're immature 18-year-old, 19, 20, 21-year-old boys. Other reasons, some were lied to, and some were given bad advice. So we can get into that later. Hopefully I can do that video later. But thank you for joining me. Hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. I appreciate it, and I'll catch you I don't know why I said absolutely. I'll catch you next time.